Hi everyone and welcome back. It's been a while since I've been here on my YouTube channel. I've had a combination of no mojo and then I got sick and had a really bad cold, and we're now into week 4 and I'm only just getting over it. So this card is made using the latest sketch from Freshly Made Sketches, and I'm going to do some ink blending in the background and then use a new to me stamp set for the main elements. So I am taking some blending foams, and you might have seen that I actually now have just started storing my blending foams in the little 2-inch pocket protectors. No, what are they called? Coin pouches or something. I use them for my ink swatches, which is an idea I got from Jennifer McGuire's blog, and I got sick of rummaging through piles of blending foam, so I saw somewhere on the internet that someone else was doing it like that, and I thought what a great idea, so that's how I now store them. So I'm blending 3 different colours. At the bottom is Abandoned Coral, in the middle is Spiced Marmalade, and at the top is Wild Honey. There's not a lot of difference between the Spiced Marmalade and the Wild Honey, but it looks okay. So I'm just going over those, getting a nice smooth blend as much as I can, and then when I'm finished blending the ink on, I will spritz it with some water. So I'm using some Bristol Smooth cardstock, which is fantastic for ink blending, and now I'm just dropping some water on from a distress sprayer and taking some paper towel and mopping up the excess. So once that's done, I'm going to put that aside, and then I'll start working on the stamped part. So this set is from Gina K, and it's called Stitched Leaves, and it's just gorgeous, beautiful. So I am on the solid part of the leaves, because it's a multi-step stamping. So on the solid part I'm using distress inks and a blending tool to get some autumn toned colours. And there I see brand new stamps. I always rub on the back of my hand to get any of that residue from the manufacturing process off. So you can do that many ways. You can do it with an eraser or with Versamark ink, but I'm lazy, just use the back of my hand. So just getting my distress inks ready. I start out using bundled sage and brushed corduroy, but it just doesn't give me the depth I want, I suppose. So I then bring in some shabby shutters, and on a few I also add in some wild honey. So I just want those autumn toned colours on my leaves. So I'm just cleaning off my blending foams. I don't keep one for every colour, I keep it for every shade. So I clean it off just because I'm not sure whether I've used a dark shade or a light shade the previous time. So I'm just going around the outside now with some of the brushed corduroy, and then I'll stamp that down. It's the beauty of using a stamp positioning tool, is that you can go over as many times as you want. So that's looking a little bit pale, so I bring in the shabby shutters rather than the bundled sage for the green. Go over that again, put some more brushed corduroy around the outside and try again. And that looks much better. And once it's got the outline layer on it, it will look better again. So I do that with all 4 of the leaf images in that stamp set, using various colours. And look, I won't bore you with showing you every single one of them, but I use exactly the same process, just slightly different colours each time. Oh, maybe I am going to bore you with the process. Thought I cut that bit out. Let's see where this takes us. Okay, so I did cut out the stamping of the last 2 leaves, and I'm just finishing off that 4th leaf now with a bit of spice marmalade around the outsides. So you can see there's a bit of variety in the colours there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to emboss over the top, so I need to make sure that that distress ink is actually dry. And to do that, I'm just going to pour some of the embossing powder directly onto those leaves and see if any powder sticks. And if it sticks, then I know that I need to dry that panel a bit more. So I'm using Antique Gold embossing powder from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm just going to get the spoon out and just pour some over, and yep, it's sticking, especially to that last leaf. So I'll brush it all off and get my heat tool and just give that a bit of a dry and then try again. So just heating that now. It doesn't take long, just takes a few seconds, and then we're good to go. Okay, second try. Yep, good enough. So I'm now going to get the outline stamps from the set, rub them on the back of my hand, and position them over the solid images. Now my head's going to get in the way, so I'm going to cut out quite a bit of this because I have to get my head right over the top to actually make sure it's lined up straight. So I'm adding all of these stamps, but before I'm sticking them to the lid of the MISTI before I go to the next one. And just to check it's in the right place, I've put a piece of acetate down and I'm stamping with black ink just so I can see that they are lined up properly. So now I've taken the acetate away and I'm going to ink up with Versamark. And this is where I realised that I did not use my anti-static powder bag, and I'm now hoping that not too much powder sticks. And there's a little bit that sticks, so I get my pointy needle tool and just flick those little flecks away. So now I'm going to melt that powder. Now there's a few spots that I didn't obviously ink up properly, and they're a little bit bald of embossing powder. So when I go to position them on the card, I'll just make sure that I hide those bits. So I'm using a black square card base, and I'm trying to find some glue that actually works. Bane of my life is finding liquid glue that actually works. So I'll put that one aside and get another one. Oops, still not working. All right. This one works. So I'm just going to glue that directly down to the card base. Now I did die cut that with a stitched square die just to give it a bit of added interest. So I'll stick that directly down to a black card base, and then I'm going to work on my positioning of all the elements. So I've cut the leaves out with my scan and cut, and now I'm just laying them where I think I want them to fit in with the sketch and also to look pleasing. The Thanks die is my favourite things die that I have stacked 3 high using black licorice cardstock, and the rest of the sentiment is from that Stitched Leaves stamp set, which I have gold embossed using that same antique gold embossing powder. So here I am fussing around with laying out all these leaves, remembering to cover up the bald bits that didn't emboss properly, and finally I'm happy with the layout, so I start to adhere everything down. So I don't show it all in the video, but I actually start from the top and work my way down. So I glue the embossed sentiment onto the leaves and the top leaves onto the bottom leaves, and once I have it all together, then I can just put the whole lot on the card at one time, and it's just so much easier. So I'm just going to position that where I want it. And move one of those leaves, give it a bit of sharper angle, and that's all good. So with the Thanks die cut, I actually colour that with a clear sparkle pen before I adhere that to the card base. Dot some glue on the back. And we're good to go. So once I put that down onto the card front, the card is all done. Oh no, it's not all done actually, I forgot. Because what I actually did, I actually decided to add some Nuvo crystal drops directly to the card, which I don't normally do. I normally make them up in advance on release paper and store them in a wee container, but I'd actually run out of these particular colour, which is the Morning Dew, which is the clear. So I went brave and put them directly onto the card. I always freak out doing that in case I get weirdly shaped ones or big bubbles in them, but these ones turned out okay, so I was quite happy, and yay me for being brave. Anyways, that is my card for this week. Thank you for sitting through this video, and I will catch you next time, and hopefully it won't be quite as long as it has been this time. See you.